Hey guys, it's Coffee here. I'm back with another video. For the last couple of months, I have been super busy and haven't been able to do much, like with my story, with my work, with all that. And I kind of wanted to talk about, because I know a lot of times artists, creators will go on a pretty long break. They will heavily struggle to get back on track. So today I figured I would talk about that while actually working on my manga, my comic, my project that I took a break from. So, with anyone that knows me, like even a little bit, knows that I am a little bit obsessed with my project, and me taking a break from it is actually a pretty big deal. Ever since I started this project when I was like a little kid, I never took a break or anything away from it. So, these last couple of months, I've been in the middle of moving and jobs and things like that, and I just haven't had the time to work on it. I've had like commission work and all that stuff, but as far as my actual comic project, my manga, Legend of the Erased, I haven't been able to work on it. I just haven't had the time, or I haven't had the environment to focus, I guess. So I kind of wanted to give 7 tips and tricks on how to come out of a break and then go back into, working on your project. And just a little bit of context of what I'm drawing here. I am working on a page from Volume 3 of my series, Legend of the Erased. If you're curious about it, the link to purchase it will be in the description box below. This landscape's got a bit of a river and a root bridge and just things in the background. Last time I drew it, I did it with like ballpoint pen, so here's my book. So I'm trying to recreate this landscape here. For the last 2 or 3 months, I haven't been able to get out any pages, so I'm just now coming out of my break. Tip number 1, start slow and gain inspiration. So, whatever inspired you to start writing, if you read a lot of manga and that inspired you to write, or if you watched a lot of movies and that inspired you to write, music, surround yourself with that stuff. A few years ago, I found a online app type thing. It was a game about like being a manga artist and stuff. And in this game, you had to collect something called plot points, which you would then put into your story, your manga, to make it better. It just made your story sell better by collecting these plot points. So I kind of like to think about that when I think about like when I'm watching a movie or playing a game or anything, is I'm gaining plot points. Because we as creators only have a very small pool to work with. You want to keep that in mind. And if you're running out of ideas or running low on inspiration, surround yourself with media that will inspire you. Definitely start slow, like start gaining that inspiration, getting that drive back. Because that's super important. Because if you're not excited to get back to work, the second you pick up the pencil, you're going to be experiencing burnout. Alright, I'm going to start inking that. I'll put my ink there, and I'm going to get my pen. This is my favorite pen. It is a Tachikawa spoon nib, I believe. I believe that's what they call it. Now, in my book, my character uses a red pen, but I use a blue one, because I do have a red pen with the Maru nib in it, because I bought it for reference of the book, and it's got the Maru nib in it, but I've gotten to where I like this nib a little bit better, and I just like blue better than red. Alright, number 2. Now this depends on whether you're an artist or a writer, or maybe even both. So it helps to get back into the groove of creating, especially if you've had just like an artless break to where you weren't able to do anything related to art. Again, with the starting slow, like start doing sketches. Like you're basically starting from scratch. Like relearn how to draw. Like pick up the pencil, pick up the pen, and just learn to get comfortable with it again. Because I know if you have one of those really, really long breaks, like I've known some artists that will go on like 2-4 year breaks, and then when they come back, like it's just not the same. That's because skills do have a bit of an expiration date. Like they deteriorate over time, kind of like a muscle would. You know, you don't use it, you lose it, kind of thing. So if you're coming out of one of those breaks, definitely like just get a sketchbook, sketchpad, and just start just drawing and creating. Just start slow, start with sketches. If you're a writer, start like doing just like basic dialogues, do like small, like not even story related scenes. Just start small and just start learning to fall in love with creating again. If you're coming back from a long break, just learn to love creating again. Make it a habit, make it something that you can't live without. Number 3, if you were mid-chapter when you started, I was mid-chapter. I was in the middle of the second chapter of Volume 3 when I went on this break, because again, we were moving, and then 2020 just started being really frustrating to the point that I just couldn't work on anything. So I was mid-chapter. Well, I was a little bit closer to the beginning of the chapter, I guess. And I did not follow this advice, and I kind of wish I did, and I might still go back and actually do this, because there's a lot of pages that I had wish I had drawn better when I had more time that I just didn't, because I didn't have time. I didn't realize I was about to have to go on a break, and I was just rushing pages out, pages that are supposed to be really well drawn. But number three, if you are mid-chapter, try re-storyboarding and restart the chapter. Because maybe after, you know, a 1-month break, 2-month break, you know, maybe you might have learned something, or maybe you would have different, or maybe you would have just had experiences that might help this chapter, you know, be a little bit better. And if you do re-storyboard it and rewrite it, and you liked the way it was better, you know, don't worry about it. But it might definitely help to re-spark the inspiration and, you know, get the momentum going to draw. Yeah, if you're mid-chapter, just start over. Start that chapter over. Let the inspiration and the new art inspiration, let it show. Especially if you took a break because of something like burnout. Because obviously anything you did directly before that is not going to be your best work. And if you're working on a passion project like this is for me, you're definitely going to want, you know, some good work. Now a little bit more about this page, I guess. Right now they are in a bit of a dream world. So it's definitely a fantasy type landscape, and you'll probably notice this a lot when I try to draw grass, because I'm trying to give it a really dreamy feel. So a lot of the grass, like when I picture it in my head, I keep seeing like the grass like being like little wispy bits, which I'll probably edit digitally, because it's just a lot easier to get that, you know, with artificial means. But I also want to kind of learn to do that. Like I'm thinking of like the grass like going up in the clouds kind of thing, because I want it to look like it's in a dream. Number 4, it is mind over matter, but don't forget to take breaks. If you are coming back from a 4-month break and you decide that you're going to spend an entire day like dedicated to drawing, you might get burnt out really fast. So again, go into it taking it slow, but you also have to get started. You have to sit down and do it and try to focus at least an hour, maybe even 30 minutes, depending on how long your break was. But take it slow, make sure to take breaks to avoid burnout, but you just gotta start at it. Any doubts you're having, any fears you're having, just overcome them and just sit down and, you know, if you did the sketches and the dialogue and like rekindled your love for creating, this won't be as hard. But if you skip the rekindling of your love for creating, this one might be a little bit harder. Because it definitely feels like, you know, you've gone on vacation and you left your precious child or your dog behind, and then you come back with a haircut and they almost don't recognize you. It feels similar to that. Like, you just gotta come back to it and show it the love that, you know, you have for it. But yeah, it was definitely a much needed break, and I came back with advice for you guys. Because I know a lot of creators do have to take inevitable breaks, whether they're having kids, or moving, or just life in general gets in the way. Especially if you are self-published, you're indie, you don't have a publisher, you're not getting paid for it. You know, it's frustrating, and sometimes you have to take time to, like, get everything else straight before you can come back to it. And it's definitely terrifying, it's definitely confusing, but you can come back to it and you can rekindle that flame you had for creating. Alright, number 5. During a break or after completing something, like whether you're completing a panel or a page, whatever your goal for now is, take a small break, like not a, like another 4-month long break or not a week long break, but like, let's just say for every hour you create, you know, step away and, you know, go outside, breathe some air, go to the park or something, or even just take some time to do some research, listen to music, and rekindle that, you know, inspiration. It's like you're constantly reminding yourself that you want to create, because you really don't want to instantly go back and get burnout, because it's the worst thing. Because if you get burnout, you're going to want to take another break, and then eventually, I've seen this happen to creators before, to where they don't pace themselves and they come back and be like, well, I'm miserable doing this, and they quit altogether, and then realize like a couple of years later, like, wait a minute, I gave up something very important to me. And I want to prepare you guys so that you don't have to do that. You don't have to give up this thing that you love because you didn't know how to pace yourself. This is something my dad tells me every time, you know, pretty much every time I see him. Everything in moderation. So even with things you love, like if you get a, you know, a gallon of, say, chocolate milk, and you know how once you really like something, how you just like drink it really fast? Well, if you drink an entire gallon of chocolate milk, like super fast, it's going to make you sick. And the more you make yourself sick from chocolate milk, the less you're going to like it. Like, like you can literally make yourself sick of things that you love because you're not pacing yourself. You're not making sure. You got to respect it in a way. You got to respect and pace it and make sure that you're staying healthy with it. You know, you got to keep a safe, comfortable distance from it, just to make sure that you don't get the burnout. Let me finish this off and then come back with the last 2 points. I'm coming close to the end of inking in this panel. Of course, I'm probably going to play with the details for nearly an hour, 2 hours. But I wanted to go ahead and finish off this video. And now we are to number 6. Number 6 is try to focus. So get in an environment that you are very comfortable in. like if you focus better, like sometimes I'm able to focus better when I'm recording. So if anything, I'll just have a camera on the paper, even if I'm not recording. Because if I feel like I'm being watched, I hold my art a little bit more accountable, I guess. And I tend to do better work as well as stay focused, because I feel like if I'm being watched, I need to be at my best. Of course, some people focus better in silence. Some people focus better with like a little bit of noise, like something in the background, like a movie or something playing. You know, maximum focus. Make sure your environment is as good as it can be. You know, if you have anything you need to do that day, like cleaning or like an exercise routine, get that done first and then try to sit down to do it. Because if it's on your head, oh, I need to clean, I need to exercise, I need to do something like that, it's going to really eat in to your focus time. It's going to be breaking your focus. It's going to make it hard to focus. And if you're coming back from a long break, you know, if you are able to sit down and focus and get things done, you know, it won't feel as bad or forced, and it'll just feel like, oh, that's cool, I got things done today. So it's just a matter of get things done and make sure that you can focus. Number 7, remember your goals or set new ones. So if you have a long-term like career goal with your project, remind yourself of that. If you have a list or anything like that, you know, remind yourself what your goal is, and just, you know, think about them. Maybe you have a 5-year plan to be full-time self-published, or, you know, a 2-year plan to get published. You know, remind yourself of those goals. And if you're struggling to let those goals, if those goals don't inspire you, make new ones. You know, really think about why you are creating and what you want to do with your creations, and make those, you know, your goals. And once you have your goals in place and you can like think about them and focus on them, you know, it makes getting inspired to work, you know, that much easier, because you have your goals and your goals are right there in front of you. And, you know, it just makes it, you know, if you want to achieve those goals, you got to do the work. Well, that is 7 tips and tricks for, you know, your break, getting back to work after a break. So yeah, that's all I got for you in this video. Thanks for watching.